to settle into a little bit more normalcy.
Swap
I'd say, yeah, okay. Never mind, forget what I just said, throw it out the window, overpower. They really don't want to take this 2v2.
No, it really also feels like they're trying to nullify Frederick on Rek'Sai. So if you keep swapping around and you force the Rek'Sai to simply defend lanes in some way, then you don't have that early pressure, and Sejuani can get to a level 6. She's going to be more than fine and can start setting up ganks. And then you can start pair her up with this Jarvan, and you have a double CC combo. So overpower back down to this bottom lane. Doing okay in terms of farm because both the lanes were pushing. Then you don't have in the lane swap.
Yeah, he's able to scavenge a little bit here in this situation. Whirlip's not going to be quite so lucky unless the wave pushes into him, as it's going to be in just a moment. Overpower does take a little bit of damage from Rydell. Has to back away. He does have a Sejuani on his side of the map, but you know, not quite level 6 yet, so that may be a bit.
Laura, we're sorry.
It should be safe when Cloud because he's already, as you said, level 5 here. Meaning, if Frederick doesn't show himself in the top lane, then Rocket is going to fast push this one down with the Jinx. And seeing as he's not even close to this point, there's going to be quite some damage. And this is what Rocket can do as well by keep swapping. Jinx is so good at pushing towers, especially when she gets a shield from a Janna as well. And obviously Renekton can't do anything in the 2v1 to stop them. So they need Frederick to show himself, and then again, he has no ganking presence if he's sitting in that lane with a Renekton.
Exactly, trying to keep him occupied as much as possible, neutralize that threat. Peppy, meanwhile, back to the mid lane, has been a little bit more quiet, has a slight level advantage. Frederick is behind him there, but they're pinging him out so they know exactly what is up. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about the Twisted Fate and LeBlanc matchup to Fischio, but I feel like this game has just had way too much other things going on here. Meanwhile, down in the bottom, we're going to see Overpower tries to take a quick trade, not too heavy there. You can see the fan vote, though. Giants fans are coming out and representing huge, 72% of the win.
Always had a lot of fans here. 5 guys from Spain. Trying to stay in the LCS now. Jarvan has hit level 6, so you can set up a gank. Nukedog is moving.
There's the Destiny. He's going to get the gold card out on Audrey. Throws out some wild cards as well. The heal is popped, the culling as well. Overpower tanking a lot of it on the back side, and he could be in some trouble as Whirlip with the teleport coming in. Overpower, he's going to go down. Oh, the flash! No, that's not what you want. First blood, however, is exactly what Audrey does want.
And what happened right there for Rocket? TF came down, Opa was just running, he didn't use flash to engage in first AR combo, he just waited and waited and waited. You can see on Nukedog, he turned around, running back to his own tower because the teleport were coming, and Nukedog, and Opa kept running in, engaged, ends up dying for flashing the wall. Miscommunication. It's not the first time we see that between Opa and the rest of his team here. Meanwhile though, Wula did get a tower in the top lane. We talked about that Jinx and the fast pushing.
Oh yeah, but the Giants aren't done on the bottom side of the map here. Looks like they will secure the first dragon of the game. Jinx is going to keep on pushing, no counter threat, no teleport available. It's going to be just a minute before it's going to be able to, anyone's going to be able to defend that. But you can see taking the safe route, Woolite is already backing away.
Yeah, well, he did his job. There's again also why they swap him around. Now he can go down to the bottom lane with that early tower and a PF sword. So it's looking good now for Woolite on this Jinx. He's obviously going to be the main, or one of the main carries in the late game.
It's a good Giants trade, though. I mean, they get the kill, they get the tower, and they get a dragon on top of it. Now Yanko's going to run smack dab into Pepe. Narrow the gold card as well. Pepe never had a chance to react as they stacked the CC on him and just collapsed for a counter kill.
Yeah, 4 guys in mid lane. Beautiful setup from Rocket. Opao doesn't really have a lane he can go to because you're sending Jinx. So let's see before here. Notice how Nuclear comes in, so he chooses Adri first. This is where Opao needs to just combo down towards him, force him to dash away. But notice TP, Nuclear sees it and runs away, and then Opao jumps in on his own. Clear miscommunication here and a big mistake from Rocket, and then in the end, the last flash here failing as well.
Yep, that is a little rough. Woolite now back down to the bottom with Vander looking to finish the job they started earlier. 10 minutes into this game, we will have a 2-tower-to-1 score, as Whirlip is not going to be able to stop this from happening.
And that's really the thing Rocket can keep doing in this game here. When you have a Twisted Fate going for Lich Bane as well, pick a card and everything, that's a lot of damage on a tower. Then you add in the Jinx with the Janna shield. These towers here, as long as they can move between the lanes faster than Giants, they will always get a few hits on it. And that's all they need to just poke them down. 2 towers now from Woolite, but you can see how Giants is trying to do exactly the same. The reason this is okay for Rocket is because the mid game is so heavily in favor of Giants in this case. So if they keep trading objectives, Rocket will get faster to that late game point where they can start outscaling the Giants' composition.
Exactly. I feel like Giants may have picked this particular composition for a reason, though. They do like that situation. There's the rocket, but Werlib's going to flash it immediately. And also, you've got the Void Rush here. Frederick could try to collapse, but his presence was alerted. They're going to back away immediately as up in the top lane, Rydal and Audrey finish the job on that turret. So trading objectives, as you mentioned, it is 2-2. And they're back at it in the bot lane, too.
It's going to be next target. Pepinero is going to sit in here, though, and try and do his best to defend with all these outer turrets gone. As long as you still have your mid tower alive, you can control the vision around most of your entrances to their own jungle. It's going to be the key thing. So we've seen one gank so far from Nukedog on this Twisted Fate, which resulted in a kill to Giants, but not because of him. And his mid tower is still fairly healthy in here, despite Pepinero having all the pressure in the lane.
So now we've slowed down for just a moment. There's been quite a lot of action. Not so many kills, but quite a lot of attempts to start this one off, and the towers have been falling pretty quick. But take a look at the way the two junglers have been building. Of course, it's not too different than what we'd expect. The Cinder Hulk, I think there's a stat about how much it's been winning lately.
At least yesterday won all the games.
But you're not going to build it on a Rek'Sai, so you've got the Warrior and Champ.
It would be a little bit strange at least.
Just a little bit. So Frederick going back to the tried and true Warrior, but it's definitely not been able to get as involved. Neither of the junglers really have been able to get super involved. There was Jankos in the mid lane. But so far, compared to the rest of the laners, it has been a little more quiet from their front now. Does that about change? Meanwhile, there's no dragon to contest, but everyone's hanging out by the pit. Looks like Rocket have successfully scared the Giants away.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point of the game where Giants want to try and create a few plays. We see them already grouping around this mid tower. There was a recall coming in from Overpower and Jankos. The tower here will take a lot of damage. I like the play here from Giants. If you get down this mid tower, you really open up the map. And when you're playing against a Twisted Fate, the deeper in you can get your wards, the easier you can spot where he's going with his ulti, making it very tough for Nukedog to suddenly find a gank.
Yeah,
I like the play.
Okay, he runs in and takes a little more damage than he bargained for bailing out. Frederick, meanwhile, is going to back away himself. And yeah, it's all about getting that vision down and make sure the Destiny doesn't catch you by surprise. Light and Vander try not to be caught by surprise themselves with Peppy jumping in and out. Audrey Rydal still threatening. Here comes Pepinero backing away as the rocket hits him in the back of the head. Tower defended so far for now, and Dragon's a minute and a half away.
You see Rocket now, they've defended the mid lane, splitting out this 1-3-1, getting farm on all the carries. Overpower in the top lane, Nukedog got the bottom lane, and then you sit Jinx. Once she gets the static shifts, he's going to provide some decent wave play in the mid lane as well for them. And you don't really want to move that immobile AD carry to a side lane, especially not against the LeBlanc. That's very risky for him. A lot easier to stay alive in this short mid lane, where you still have a tower you can retreat to as well. Giants, if them who basically needs to make the plays, Nukedog might keep his ulti and use it defensively instead of forcing anything. I mean, Jankos is going to heavily outscale a Rek'Sai in terms of team fighting in the lane. Forcing anything. I mean, Jankos is going to heavily outscale a Rek'Sai in terms of team fighting in the late game. That's why so many of these teams like the double tank setups. And yesterday, Overpower, he went Tiamat into just pure tank on the Javelin. That's because he fell behind as well. He can still do the same here and just aim for team fights, because it's going to be about protecting Woolite more than anything else. And if you have a big beefy front line and a Janna, that's basically all you can ask for.
Exactly. Try to keep the protection on there. Peppy, meanwhile, is going to be trying to pull the assassination attempt off. Same with Frederick. I mean, we've seen some crazy Rek'Sai flanks, really, but Giants, the question is, are they going to be coordinated enough to pull this one off? And Peppy is just going to immediately flash Fearing for the gold card. That is a key summoner down, as Rocket now are the ones trying to push in the middle.
Now again, remember how fast Rocket can take down a tower. You got the bigger card here, you've got the Jinx. Look at this tower here. Already down for Rocket. That was a quick move in the mid lane, just saying you have no time to react. We saw Adri here doing the red buff, so simply no wave clear from Giants, and that was such a quick tower. Dragon being set up. Is there going to be a teleport? There's two wards behind Rocket here if Willie wants to join to stop this one.
Now is going to be the time to do it. It's already less than half its health. They're totally not going to try and contest that. It does go over to Rocket. That is their first of the game. Peppy's going to try to answer back in the mid, but he's not got quite enough damage. The minion wave, they're going to hope it finishes off, but no, the Janna shield will deny them that as the cavalry arrives to clear out the waves.
Try to trade it here. Giants composition as well. Because they don't really run any sort of hard engage, it's going to be like a Renekton and a Rek'Sai coming from two flanks, and then Pepinero trying to look for that pick. They really cannot afford to fall behind in terms of division control. And in this case here, because Rocket made that play in the mid lane, they moved straight to Dragon. Giants decided to give it up and said they couldn't really find a proper engage, even though I feel like they had a ward they could teleport to if they wanted to set it up. But anyway, they're back in the mid lane. They're trying to do the same, pushing that tower. Nukeduck is gone to the bottom lane. There should be a tower.
Should be. It's not going to take too much to knock it over, but how much do Giants fear this Rocket defense? Yanko's just standing there,
Rocket
daring
can
them to
engage
make it
here.
pay.
If Nukeduck ulti's in, they might want to go for this one. Jankos is setting himself in position. Is he going to throw the ulti?
It's very low, but they're saving it right now.
Yeah, they're
Giants,
respecting it.
they don't seem to want to commit too much, and I feel like they're just not confident in their ability to scrap.
Yeah, you can't really be caught under the enemy tower there. So I guess I was a little bit early on them getting that tower because you have to respect the amount of CC coming. If you get caught by a Sejuani ulti,
Right under the tower.
right under the enemy tower, and then a TF porting in, it's not going to be a good situation. And they can still just keep poking this one down slowly.
Pepe's also been having some real trouble with those chain combos too. He's really trying to get huge chunks out of the enemy squishies, but it's just not happening for him.
Flash farm either. It's obviously used before. So in this case, I mean, Rocket right now can be happy. You can just sit back, you can keep farming. You defended your mid tower still. You know where Giants is going to put all their focus on that one lane, and you simply wait for your teleport to be ready again for overpower, and you just keep wave clearing, keep going towards the late game. At this point here, there's a lot of gold for Woolite. And he's just spent all of it on the Infinity Edge.
Mm-hmm. And he's got the Avarice Blade now. We'll give him a little bit of passive stuff. It's about the same mirrored on the other side by Adra, but the real difference is how these two are going to scale later on in the game goes. Rocket, as you mentioned, they're in a very comfortable position as long as Giants don't make any massive plays.
If Woolite shows himself in the bottom lane, then Giants should go straight mid lane with all 5 guys and just push in that tower, because now you can see all the threats from Rocket, and you know the AD carry isn't there, and this tower is so low. Once you get this tower down, again, use the information of the AD carry being bottom side, move into that jungle, start placing a few wards. You can see the Jinx, go into the top side of the jungle here, go behind Overpower, place down these wards here, force him back as well, and suddenly you now have 2 lanes in the mid and the top lane that you can get some pressure in. Already see Giants do exactly that. And this is purely from Woolite showing himself in the bottom lane on this Jinx here. As long as you send Whirly back in time to defend this tower, you're not going to lose anything from doing this. You're just going to gain control over the jungle.
Yep, so far they followed those steps to success to a T. See a couple of backs coming in here as Rocket have moved in to defend, but also Woolite's not going to try to push too deep in enemy territory. They know this could be a big risk. There's the back already from Whirlib complete. He's got his teleport up and available, of course, so they have a slight timing window on Overpower for that. So it's going to be a while for the next Drake, and a lot of wards littering that Rocket jungle for Giants.
And the next Drake is what Giants needs. Rocket doesn't really have a reason to go into their own jungle, and you have a Twisted Fate in case you have to run that route to check if anyone is setting up a trap. So it's going to be a bit tough for Giants to play around the picks in that case. So they might just want to wait for this dragon to spawn, set up control around it, put Pepinero in a bush with a pink ward, and then have Rocket simply walk in and face check this LeBlanc, who's going to assassinate someone. And that's a way for you to at least start a fight. But again, Nukeduck can check where Pepinero is hiding with his ulti.
Yeah. But on Giants, though, they're the ones with the superior vision control right now. You've got the double side stone, obviously, coming in for him. It hasn't been completed yet for Rocket, or if Jankos is not going to go for it. And they've definitely been trying to make sure that they have tabs on Nukeduck anytime and any place. But they're still afraid to really make massive plays.
Still
Going really deep. They have been getting control. I will give you that.
This is fine. This is what they should do. It looks like Rocket wants to fight, though.
There's
Whirlib
the
is not there yet.
Destiny. Nice bullet comes out. Frederick is the one getting chunked down. He gets knocked up, and he's in the cage as well. Overpow taking him out. Rydal, meanwhile, trying to save his own life. Overpow burning down. The Culling just barely tipping him in the back. It's actually Pepinero that picks up Overpow. Jankos chasing Whirlib. The Rocket comes in. It doesn't connect, but still, Rocket are on the chase. They found 3 members and only giving up Overpow. Where they go from here, though?
So Giants wanted to move in and set up for that dragon, as we talked about, how that was a way they could use this pick potential of Pepinero. The problem was he was still in the mid lane running to the rest of his team. Whirlib was in the bottom lane as well, had to TP in after the engage, and Rocket is running so much hard engage. Twist the Fate ulti. You got the Jarvan, you got the Sejuani to start the fights. Giants simply didn't respect that. Ends up losing in the mid game. More kills to Rocket.
Let's take a look at it again.
Yes, you can see, look at the minimap here. Whirlip is in the bottom lane and Pepinero is in the mid lane, so they went in too early on the side of Giants, didn't respect the engage coming. And now it's basically a lost fight already because you've blown all your flashes defensively. Whirlip does come in the end, doesn't really have an impact because Nuclear stuns him up very nicely here. And Woolite obviously just sitting in the back line on this Jinx, cleaning house to go with the rest of Rocket. That was supposed to be your moment for Giants.
Now it just kind of turned into giving up some more control. The Dragon's now live. Rocket have the Crab Shrine. They have all the vision control on that side. And even though there is a massive Giants moving in towards it and actually trying to clear that one out, they gave this up. So now that the game's changed just a little bit, Giants trying to take this one quickly. Guerrilla Warfare, see if they commit to it. I think they might be a little skittish though. See if Rocket can contest.
Look at this mid lane here, pushing in top lane as well. If Giants loses this fight, they might lose 2 tier 2 towers as well, meaning it will be near impossible for them to come back. It's such an important one. Notice how Rocket is just baiting it because they know the minions are doing work on the towers. Just keep running on it. Okay, Smite went over to Rocket.
Going to go over to Rocket. Now Giants, after committing pretty heavily, they're going to be the ones in some serious trouble. Woolite picking up Frederick. Whirlip, as big as he is, can they take him out? Looks like they can. It's a double kill. Going wild for Woolite, and he does not have his Rocket ult available to clear off Audrey, but 2 kills is certainly good, and they're looking for even more as Rydell now isolated from the rest of his team, chased down by Overpow and Vander trying to get away through the lane, but here comes Woolite. It's Vander that actually picks up the kill. All the same, they're still looking pretty hot.
And off in the end, but again, I mean, Rocket in these team fights, Giants can never get the flank. They can never get the right engage. I mean, they have no way of really starting the fight here, and again, Pepinero can never get to the back line because Rocket has full information on where they are at all times and just plays around it. They're the ones starting the fights. You use your Sejuani, use your Jarvan, and also these minions did quite some damage. At least the top tower dropped down to 40% tier 2 top tower here from Giants. Just by the minion waves coming in. And as you can see there, it's a must-win for Giants if they want to stay in the playoff race. Not really the goal for them, they just want to stay in the LCS.
Yep, that is still going to get harder and harder if they do drop this game. They would, of course, go down to a 4-12 record if that's the case. Let's take a look at this Dragon fight.
Look at it again here. They can see everything. Pepinero even just used his ulti, used his entire combo on trying to steal the Dragon for Giants, and if you do that, the fight is already over because you invested so much onto just the Dragon and objective. And that's also why Rocket can win it. Notice how Woolite just standing in the back, all safe. His big tanks in front of him. Oh, Overpower is dying again though.
Yes, and Peppy could follow. Woolite didn't quite get that, but the Rocket is going to miss. Well, it's not done though.
Oh, next one.
There's the dash, but here comes Jankos. However, they may have checked too far. Get excited, and Jankos throws the Glacial Prison at Pepinero, sends him back to Fountain. He gets a double kill after the fact. Whirlip now going down. That's gonna get picked up by Woolite. Audrey, oh my goodness, that's the triple and the ace, and it looks like we're heading for Baron.
Yeah, straight to Baron. You got teleport for Overpower as well in 5 seconds in case he is needed. Giants were the ones who tried to get a pick first with Pepinero, and then Rocket simply just comes in from behind there, cleans up the rest of Giants. Baron, 24 minutes in, you outscale them. This is looking great for Rocket.
Absolutely.
Keeping the pressure. So let's see. They want to get a pick here in Overpower first. Pepinero, he honestly wanted Woolite, but saw Overpower jump the wall. Nice little pick up for him. But look at the minimap again. Rocket is way earlier moving up here. First one misses. And then Yang is like, well, I got an ulti as well. This one is a bit tougher to dodge. And the rest of Giants simply unable to do anything. That will get excited for Woolite, made him able to kite around as well.
Oh yeah. Once you start snowballing off the kills, it's really easy to start cleaning things up, and you could see how this one ended. And it netted Rocket a massive pickup. A lot of gold onto the Jinx, some gold onto your tank jungler, and a Baron. Let's see what they do with it in the next 3 minutes. 25.5 into the game. They do lead by a wide margin, and it is getting stronger.
And we see here for Jankos a bit of a change compared to what other junglers have done. We still see people go sidestone on these big tanks. We see them go Locket as well. No, Jankos is saying, I'm a real tank here. I'm a real man. I'm a grown-up. I'm not going to go sidestone. I'm not going to go for Locket. I'm just going to build pure standard tank items. So he's extremely hard to kill now. Locket has gone to Vander instead. And they have this greater stealth totem on Overpower. That's where they get the vision from. And I quite like that because it really makes you able to be a big frontline tank.
Well, and they're able to just completely rush down here with the Baron buff minions and having a Jinx that's got some serious damage with the shift completed and an extra BF sword on top of that with the eye edge. They just clear these objectives so quickly, and it's all going to be on Peppy trying to move in, Frederick trying to move in, but they just don't have the damage that they need to pick off key targets. And there's a lot of protection here for Roccat too.
And you can see what Nuke is doing. He picks his stun, and then he waits for Pepinero to jump in, and then whenever he does, he just auto-clicks on him, whoop, throws the stun, and even when Pepinero jumps back, he takes a lot of damage for it, and it makes it nearly impossible for him to get a pick, like it's been all game long here. Roccat has been in control. Second rocket that missed.
Yes, Frederick does dodge that one out. However, the inhibitor is still going to fall down, and they're still running wild through the base of Giants Gaming. This time, they're going to take the safer route and move out. Start to clear out the other waves. They've got a bit of one building on the bottom side. The Rek'Sai ult's actually coming. Well, uh-oh, they mistimed the backs here. Peppy's going to go back. Didn't quite have enough damage to assassinate as Nuke was still there. Very dangerous. Giants still taking some risks, now trying to chase Jankos and overpower away.
Massive Sejuani running around.
The flankers are flanked. Oh, goodbye Rydal, goodbye Frederick. It's a double kill going over to Nuke, and all of a sudden Rocket's like, all right, we'll just take another inhibitor.
Looking so good for Rocket. I mean, at this point, when you got such a good comp and you played it so well, there shouldn't be any way for you to really lose the game.
Like to say when teams snowball, but this is looking more like an avalanche. The Rocket on the Pepinero's not going to connect there. All the same, they still grab themselves a couple of inhibitors. Able to back out safely. Great use of that Baron buff. 35 seconds now on the Dragon.
Perfect.
They can pick up number 3, get themselves some extra move speed. It's already been pretty hard for Giants to catch up to them in this race.
Yeah, 3 items on Woolite now. Nuke as well just managed to complete the death cap. And obviously this big manly Sejuani.
Don't forget the Jarvan too.
Well, Jarvan as well, yeah. I mean, Opa has been just gone the same route. Tiamat, this time he put in a Hexdrinker, but otherwise he's just gone tank otherwise, and he's just acting as a main engage tool for Rocket and been able to do well in the fights. And like Jankos here, 28 minutes in, is sitting on 3,300 HP. And at the same time, 175 armor. I mean, this is a very, very tanky jungle already. A bit tough to go. So Giants setting up a small trap. Let's see if anyone is gonna face check that bush, because obviously Rocket will want to go to the bottom side. It's the last few towers they need.
They don't move in time, and
now
Jankos.
Oh, that's the tank.
Yeah, they still are able to chunk him out pretty hefty there, but there is the Monsoon to keep him alive. Meanwhile, Rydal in some trouble dodging away from the skill shots. And there's the Rocket. Wild Growth will keep him alive for now, but the zap also won't hit him. Still, Rocket's still on the offensive. They've got one more inhibitor to take here. They've already had to send Wordlet back to defend. Peppy just keeps eating these after the time. And the Rocket, or excuse me, and the tower is going to go down. I got Rockets on the brain with Woolite the way he's been launching these.
Woolite really not been able to get any kills on his ulti. Always getting denied. Someone juking it or barely.
He's still 6-0.
Yeah, he is. Oh,
Can't complain.
Of course. This is just a very small thing for him. He's done what he should. And these towers, they drop down so fast.
Oh yes, Wordlet going to try to make the last-ditch effort here, diving in the back. Frederick is also there, but Overpow getting the jump on the rest of them. He's actually going to evaporate, but they're buying the time for the super minions in the top side of the base. It's a double kill going over to Woolite. The last inhibitor is going to go down, but they don't even need it right now. With the minions, it looks like they can just end the game. The last Nexus turret is going to go down straight to the Nexus. It's not even 30 minutes into Fischio, and it looks like Rocket are going to add another win to the score column.
Clean victory from Rocket here. No real problems against Giants. Controlled the game from the start, had the better composition in the late game. I love the way they played around the Jinx and the fast pushing ability. Kept swapping Woolite into the Renekton here, just pushing down these towers, giving them quite a lead early on, at least around the first few fights, where they really managed to punish Rocket here. Oh, sorry, punish Giants.
Oh yes, indeed. They've got some faces of relief here as they go and shake hands with Giants Gaming. Smiles from Pepinero there. And, you know, what this win, it's obviously still a very tough climb for them to, you know, to get potentially into the playoffs, but also to avoid the relegation zone. What does this mean for them going forward into the last 2 games, into their last week in the LCS here, week 9 coming up?
Yeah, I mean, at least now for Rocket, you can look at the auto relegation spot and say that should be gone for us. I mean, we have 2 more games to play. We got a few wins in our hands here. Problem is you're still sitting at, as you said, as number 8, so that's still down in the relegation or promotion tournament, sorry. You gotta face one of the challenger teams. They're obviously chasing elements for this number 7 spot, the safe spot where you don't go to promotion tournament and you don't go to playoffs. You just prepare for next split, which could be very important for, again, a team like Rocket, who's clearly had a lot of problems with this somewhat new lineup. I mean, Nuclear came in, Woolite joined from the Copenhagen Wolves, and there are things for them to work on. If they are as good as people say in scrims, if they can find that level in the LCS for next split, if they manage to requalify or stay in the LCS, that's obviously the goal here. While Elements are looking more towards the Copenhagen Wolves and trying to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, so for them, obviously it's been a little bit of a disappointing split, but getting some strength towards the end is important, and to build up your confidence going into the next one. So that's a big thing for them. I think this win was especially important because they did it very cleanly. They played the type of composition that they've been wanting to all split, and this time it worked out really well for them.
It did. I mean, from them choosing the lane swaps to fast pushing down towers, Nuke basically just sat back in the mid lane and said, Pepinero, I'm not going to die to you. You need to get fed for Giants to win. And then we just saw them be better in terms of, teamwork and strategy. So they knew how to play against this comp here from Giants. Knew there was barely any types of engage. So as long as we don't randomly face check into a choke point or whatever, we will be fine. And that was just, well played. I like the play from Woolite on Jinx. And obviously this massive Sejuani from Jankos doing well.
Yeah, and this time the Jarvan worked out pretty well for Overpow. All around, they did well, but for Giants on their side, the troubling thing, it seems to continue, the trend. They just can't quite get their synergy up. They can't quite bring themselves to make a decision. They were camping out in the brush trying to catch somebody. They were trying to contest for a dragon. And it just seemed when they finally went, it was sort of like, okay, now or never, but we were already a second too late.
Yeah, basically, again, it's been the problem for Giants for such a long time, is they don't really have that clear game plan. They don't have the strategy to say, what are we going to do next? How are we going to use our comp, the current mid-game spike we were supposed to have when you play like Lucian, LeBlanc, Renekton? How are we going to use it effectively to get a lead? That's why it's missing for them. Still, people have to remember, they qualified as the last team. They lost to H2K in the expansion tournament and then had to beat Recent Gaming to get in the LCS. So they came in as number 10. And again, as we've said so many times, they made it clear we had to only just stay in the LCS. And we do see there's a gap between them and the other team. Still, they managed to pull off some great victory.
That's definitely true. Now, for a closer look at that game, we're going to hand it back to Shox and Cyanide over at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pyrotechnics. Now, with that loss, Giants' postseason hopes come to an end. So let's pull up the tables and check out the playoff picture after that one. MYM and Giants are out of the playoff. Roccat and Elements are currently out of the playoff position, but they can still make it in with 3 spots up for grabs. And as of now, only SK, Fnatic, and H2K have clinched a playoff spot. Another bit of, trivia. If Elements lose their next game, that means all the teams with 9 wins on the board, that is both Unicorns of Love and Gambit, will have clinched their playoff position. And it will go between the Wolves, Roccat, and Elements for that last playoff spot. But that is only if the Elements don't manage to win their next game. So so much on the line in the next one as well. But as said, Giants, they are out. And to be honest, they had also said in the last couple of videos and when we've talked to them, we just got to make sure that we stay out of that relegation zone, or actually sure that we not get relegated. This is only their first season. But here, it was a little surprising to me that yesterday they could do so much in the early game, and now they didn't play to it at all.
Yeah, it was just the story of the game. Rocket kept lane swapping, denying the 2v2s and 1v1s, where the Giants team comp was very strong. Like, what they needed to do is just get ahead on lane and then roll all over Rocket, but Rocket played really smart, just swapping the lane, and they managed to get off the early power spike, and then they were just methodically pushing turrets and winning the game slowly. Like, Giants didn't even try to do anything. They were just trying to respond to Rocket's plays, which is not the way to win when you have this kind of an early composition.
Yeah, and at what point, if you're stepping into one of those games and you have to follow the other team around to get that lane you want, at what point can't you just say, no, stop, we're going to take the lane as it is now and just try to work off that?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Like, at some points Rocket was taking Dragon, and then there was the jungler of Giants was just behind the Dragon pit, like thinking, oh, maybe I should try to steal it or something. And then Pepinero is pushing mid lane alone, like, instead of his team just going there and pushing together, in which case they would have had that mid turret, which is very important to get.
Yeah. In his defense, though, Frederick has stolen a couple of legendary Barons a couple of weeks ago that secured them some games. So why not try for that Dragon Steel, of course. What did you make of the top lane picks? Yesterday we saw Overpower on Jarvan already, and now versus Renekton, I feel like Warlip kind of could have gone for something more powerful.
Yeah, it would have worked probably if it was 1v1, but they just kept swapping the lanes and Renekton was completely useless. You need to win your lane early, but that chance was denied by Rocket.
So Rocket walks away rather with a win here. A decisive one is something they need. They're up against the Copenhagen Wolves and MYM next week in that crucial last week for them. How far do you see them going of what we've seen from the Copenhagen Wolves and MYM?
I think Rocket has a pretty good chance. This game they had a solid game plan and they just kept doing the thing that they probably had planned. And if they just keep having such good strategies, I see them doing good things against MIM and Wolves specifically that are not strategically that strong of teams.
Of teams, yeah. Well, we will see next week, but we still have one game coming up here, of course. Coming up next, Gambit Gaming will look to solidify their playoff standings against Elements, who are fighting to preserve their seat on the LCS stage as the split comes to a close. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with all the action.
Fourth game of the day. Two teams fighting to avoid relegation. Let's see who can win.
Nice bullet comes out. Frederick is the one getting chunked down. He gets knocked up and he's in the cage as well. Overpow taking him out. Rydal, meanwhile, trying to save his own life. Overpow burning down.
Massive Sejuani running around.
The flankers are flanked. Oh! Goodbye, Rydal. Goodbye, Frederick.
I use shield on Jinx.
Start Renekton.
Rek'Sai, very stark. Rek'Sai.
Renekton.
And it looks like Rocket are gonna add another win to the score column.
When I was a little kid, I always dreamed of playing for big crowds. I was the first guy at the door of the local record store in my hometown to wait when it opened so I could get that one special white label, that one special track. I even had a little friendly competition with my friends in school, you know, who could make the best mixtape. Now I can't believe I get the honor to travel the world and play for such massive crowds. Right before I go on stage, I really try to take a moment to myself and just, you know, purely focus on the music, on my set.